So let's set up a project here. I'm going to create a new directory, mkdir task async. I'm going to go into the directory, and then I'm going to create .NET new console. I'm going to create a console application, and then I'm going to do a restore. Looks like it is already done restore, but let's try again restore. And I'm going to say code dot to open the project, and I open the project. It's asking me to required assets to build and debug are missing, so add them. So let's do that. And I'm going to open the CS proj, and I'm going to add language C# language 7.2 here. As you can see, I'm using .NET Core App 3.1 for the target framework. The output type is an exe here, and then I have the main program. Let's run this and see whether it works or not. It should print hello world, so let's run this. Okay, it has printed hello world. It's has correctly run. So let's talk about some history with async await. It was originally introduced in .NET Framework 4.5. It was known as the task-based asynchronous pattern, and there's only one namespace for async await, which is the system.threading.tasks, and it returns either a task object or a task with a template class. For example, it can be task of int, task of string, or task of any custom class. So let's talk about the async await operators. So async is a modifier that lies on a method signature. So it says here modifier to specify that a method or a lambda expression or an anonymous method is asynchronous. So it only resides on a method signature. Await, on the other hand, it is placed in front of a method to denote that it is asynchronous. So the await operator suspends evaluation of the enclosing async method until the asynchronous operation completes. So let us look at an example. I have a method that downloads an image and returns a bitmap so that it can be displayed. Now look at the method signature here. I have public async. The reason I'm using async here, reason the async is specified here, is because of the await operator here. If I have an await within a method, I must make the method async, otherwise it will not compile. Now let's talk about the method name. The method name is download data and render image async. This async is just for indication only. There is no requirement that the method name must end with async. It is just that when the libraries were created, they were non-asynchronous methods also, like synchronous methods also were available. At that time, to distinguish between a synchronous method and an asynchronous method, the libraries were created with two methods. One is asynchronous and one is asynchronous. And for the asynchronous, they have suffixed with this async keyword here. But there is no mandatory requirement for a method name, for asynchronous method name to end with async here. Now let us read this again. Now every async method must return a task. You cannot have async void. I mean, there are exceptions for async void, but you cannot have async void. It has to be async task. Now within the task you're having a bitmap here. So this is actually a template class which is getting substituted here. So what this means actually is this last statement here, return await, will actually return a bitmap. This bitmap is actually returned by the render async method. Suppose I don't have an await here. Suppose I don't use an await here. I will just say return render async. This will not work. The reason is, if there is no await, render async will just return the task object. Okay, let's do an example and then talk more about it. Let's start coding now. So what I'll do is I'll create a new async method. So let's code an async method to read data from a website. Simple. So make it private. Let's make it static because we have to call from main. Async. Async always returns a task, so I'm going to put task here, and the website data is a string, so I'm going to return a string. Let's call it get website data, and it takes the URL as a parameter. Okay. Now I see some squigglies here because we have to add those namespaces. So let's do that. So for a task, we have to add system dot threading dot task, and so let's invoke a HTTP client. So var client equal to new HTTP client, that which will the HTTP client will be used to invoke the website. Again, I'm seeing squigglies here, so we need to add a namespace using system dot net dot HTTP. Good. Now I have this client ready. Now I need to invoke the method, the async method, get string async. See, we have async here. It takes in a URL. Now, because we declared an async modifier for in the method signature, we can use the await keyword and it will compile. We still have to return the data, so I can just say return the data. So that's it. Let's run this. There is another way to do this, but let's run this and check. Okay, so let's say I'm gonna add the console.readline here. I'm gonna change this to press enter to exit. Now how do I invoke this? So let me call this first async demo. Okay, how do I invoke this? So what I do is, because this is a static void, I need to create an anonymous task to invoke this method here. So what I do is I create task.run. I'm gonna put the async keyword. I'm gonna create an anonymous method with a lambda expression, and I'm gonna put a semicolon here. And because it's an async, I can call an await. So I'm gonna call await get website data of, let's HTTPS, let's use reddit.com. But the problem is we need the data, right? So we have to assign a variable var website data equals to, and then we can do a console.writeLine and print out the website data. So let's run this and see, and then we can talk more about it. I'm going to press F5. I'm going to wait for a response to come. There you go. I see the HTML data coming from the reddit.com website. Now let's modify this method here to create what is known as a fan out process. So let's call it fanning out. Now I'm going to remove the async at this level, and I'm going to create a fanning out process where you can fan out multiple requests using this task itself. So let me show you how. So first I'm going to remove the async here. Because I removed async, I have to remove await. Now because I removed await, it returns only a task. So here, so this method, right, this method returns task of string, and that's what we are returning here, right? So but since it's returning a task, since this method is returning a task, it has to be awaited somewhere else. It has to be awaited when this is getting invoked. So here And that's what we're doing here. We are actually awaiting this task, this asynchronous method called, which is returning task over here. That is why there is no compilation error. Now, how do we do a fan out? So what we can do is, instead of doing an await here, let's remove this await. So this will be holding a task. So this website data will be holding a task. So let's create another task. Let's call this task 1. Okay, and let's create a new task. Let's call this task 2, which returns as a different data. And I'm looking for a URL. Let's do Stack Overflow maybe. Let's do Stack Overflow here. So I have two URLs, two tasks here, and each task is getting the data. Now, what I want to do is actually, I want to actually await on these two tasks and get the data, right? So what I'll do is, I'm gonna call task dot wait all, as you can see here, and it takes params as tasks. So I can use task 1 and comma task 2. Now if you see here, there is no need of using the async operator here at all, because there is no await anywhere, right? So this is another way of fanning out your request. So let's see whether it works or not. I'm going to do a run here. Now the problem here is, right, we are not actually printing out the data here. So there is no way of telling whether it has run or not. So here I'm having a task here, and here also I'm task, I'm running this wait all, and we're not printing anything here. So we got to print something here. I can say, I can actually return the task itself. So I can just say task equals to this console dot write line task dot, I can just give an ID, I can get an ID, right? I can get task ID. I can say return task. So now when the task is executed, at least I'll have a task ID. So let me put a task ID. Or I can do a dollar here, and the new coding stuff, you can do this and double quotes, right? So let's see whether this works or not. So task ID 1 and 2. So as you can see here, I've not seen any exceptions also. Yeah. So as you can see here, I'm able to fan out two tasks using this task.waitAll operator method, and which is returning a void, so I cannot see anything here. So this is how I can run two tasks parallelly, almost synchronously, using this waitAll method. So from the code earlier, right, I just added these two lines here: console.write task1.result, console.write task2.result. This is just to display the results of these two executions. So when we execute, when I run this code here, the order of execution will differ because of the way this is being invoked, and since it's asynchronous, there is some kind of a non-deterministic execution. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to do a run here, and as you can see here, task 1 and task ID 2 has come here, and then async demo and press enter to exit has come here. There is no sequence, so I got this first, okay, and then I got this exit immediately, because this runs on a separate thread. This runs on a separate thread, and then I got the task IDs printed here. Okay, it is not sequential; it's a different order. And once the task IDs once the tasks got completed, this is actually a blocking call. This is a blocking call because it only executes once task 1 and task 2 are complete. It's wait all, right? And then when it is done, I'm seeing the HTML data. One is coming from Reddit and another is this is Reddit, and another is coming from Stack Overflow. Let's go to Stack Overflow. Let's go back. Let's go to the bottom. Yeah, this is Stack Overflow. Yeah, Stack Exchange right here. So that is the difference in the execution because of this fanning out process. Now we have seen this that in the previous demo I've given, I use these two lines here for showing the results, but in practical purposes we are not supposed to use the dot result. But in this case it's okay because we are actually waiting for the task to complete and then showing the task results. Okay, so now that you have seen that I'm having this main function here, and starting with C# 7.1 we can have async for the main also. So when I use async, do you know what I'm supposed to use here as a return type? It's a task. So that satisfies the compiler. Now because it's an async method here, I need to use an await operator. That's the error it's going to show. It lacks await operators. So if I have an await operator, I can either put an await here because task return is awaitable, or I can use await. This is also awaitable, right? This is returning awaitable. So I can also use await here. So let's try that. But I won't be able to fan out in that case. Here I'm fanning out because I'm using wait all and it's waiting for these two tasks. So let's see the other way. I'm going to make it simple. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove the fanning out button. Okay. I'm going to run side by side. So I'm going to have this is a task. And I'm going to await this here itself. So I'm going to say var data equals to await of task 1. Simple stuff. Nothing different. Here again I'm going to print the data out here. I'm just going to print that data out. Okay. Similarly, I can reuse the same variable. So I'm going to say data equal to, see the way I'm using a variable here. I'm using the data variable. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the same thing here again. That's it. So so here I'm going to run this. I'm going to adjust the indentation a little bit. So it looks good. Yeah. Now I can run this. Call it demo 2. Now it should work as it is. There is nothing new about this, but I just want to show you the difference between a regular main and an async main. So yeah, see I see the data here. So to conclude, we have seen how this method, which is originally written as an async method, has been converted into non-async method, and this is returning a task which is being called from the main method. I'm going to leave you with a blog that I want you to read, which is about a concept called configure await. Now this is a Microsoft dev blogs, and there is a good discussion on the async await and what is the synchronization context. This is very useful in case you are attending an interview or you want to learn more about how it works internally. There's some details in this. I'm gonna provide another session detailing all this, but in this session I want to make it simple, so I'm not covering all that. So what is the task scheduler? What actually happens when you create an async and await? There is a state machine that is created. If you look at the compiler MSIL code, right? MSIL code, you will see that there is a state machine being created whenever you write a async and await method. So you can look at that. And also there you need to know why, what happens when you call this. There is a post saying that in .NET Core this is redundant because they actually removed refactored this synchronization context in .NET Core. So I want to, if you want to keep up to date with all this, make sure you read this. It has some clarity on what has to be done, why it should not be used or why it should be used. So it says if you're writing an app level code, do not use configured false, stuff like that. So make sure you, and if you're coming from .NET framework, you need to know when this can be used and when this should not be used. So it's a very important thing that you need to know. Even if in case of an advanced interviews, if in interviews some people go in detail, they would ask you what is the purpose behind configure await and why it's been removed in .NET Core or why it's not used anymore, and what are the scenarios it is used, what is the synchronization context. So make sure you read up on all that.